There's an old quip about the street corner evangelist who asked a passerby if he'd found Jesus. The intended convert replied, "I didn't know he was lost." Hello, everyone. I'm Ned Prevost, a retired Episcopal priest, privileged to be an associate at All Saints, and also privileged to wish everyone a happy Epiphany. Today marks the Church's celebration of the Magi's visit to Bethlehem, searching for and finding the one who has been born King of the Jews. They were guided by a star some today believe was the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn, that alignment in the southwest we've recently enjoyed and is at least the right direction for the Magi coming from the northeast of Bethlehem in their search just about 2,000 years ago. What they found wasn't a king in the traditional sense of that title, but rather a newborn babe lying in a manger, whose name was Jesus. T.S. Eliot once wrote a short recreation of St. Matthew's biblical account of the journey of the Magi, which begins this way: "A cold coming we had of it, just the worst time of year for a journey." In thinking about Eliot's observation and about the old quip of the street evangelist who asks if we've found Jesus, I'm curious what that search might mean for any of us, whether there are obstacles, be they cultural or philosophical or personal, that would suggest a cold coming we had of it. Looking for and finding Jesus could be in a lifetime of familiarity or in a dramatic, unexpected moment, or perhaps both. C.S. Lewis, the most influential Christian writer of the 20th century, was one who had a cold coming of it, as he described his conversion experience this way: "You must picture me alone in that room at Magdalen College, night after night, feeling, whenever my mind lifted even for a second from my work, the steady, unrelenting approach of him whom I so earnestly desired not to meet. That which I greatly feared had at last come upon me. In the Trinity term of 1929, I gave in and admitted that God was God, and knelt and prayed, perhaps that night the most dejected and reluctant convert in all England." Looking for and finding Jesus can take many forms and pathways, whether by Bible study or church attendance or a personal relationship with a trusted friend. Some go to the Holy Land, as I did twice. The first of my visits came in 1978. I was a young priest, 34 years old, and was convinced that I would find Jesus there in a new, more authentic way by experiencing where he was born, where he taught, where he performed miracles, where he died, and where he was resurrected from the dead. And while that experience was an important part of my personal faith story, I came back saying, I had to go to the Holy Land to find Jesus in order to know that I didn't have to go to the Holy Land to find Jesus. Looking for Jesus has been the work and the study and the joy of a lifetime for me, not because I'm a priest who has to, but because I have found unspeakable grace in the process. Time and time again, Jesus has been the answer for life and death questions I might raise, as all of you raise as well, by virtue of our shared humanity. like the search of the Magi. Places where we find him are often unexpected. To be sure, as I've said, we should expect to find him in church, in Bible study, in a personal relationship with a friend on the same journey. Jesus said, "Whenever 2 or 3 of you are gathered in my name, I am there with you." But can he be found in the darker corners of our lives, in the troubled places, in the fearful places? I believe he can, because by his very nature, Jesus is patient, Jesus is persistent, and always lovingly accessible if we but reach out. There's a famous painting in St. Paul's Cathedral in London and at Oxford University called "The Light of the World." It's by William Holman Hunt and depicts Jesus standing by a door with a lantern in one hand and with the other hand raised to knock. The interesting thing about the painting is that there's no handle on Jesus' side of the door. As I said, Jesus is patient but persistent, knocking on the door of my heart, but only I can open it to let him in. Have you found Jesus? The street evangelist asks. And I can truthfully say I have. And by God's grace will keep on finding him by opening the door of my heart. And I lovingly ask you to do the same. Amen.